Live better and longer with the Fitzness Show, hosted by fitness expert, author, and TV personality Fitz Kohler. She'll tell you why diets are dumb, supplements are snake oil, and the truth about how you can earn a lean, hard, pain-free, and athletic body. Now for our favorite bossy blonde, Fitz Kohler.
Well, hi team, I'm Fitz Kohler, your very noisy race announcer from Fitzness.com, and welcome to the Fitzness Show. This week's episode is slightly delayed because at the beginning of the week, I had no voice, or at least I had a far more manly voice, and that seems to be the trend post race announcing weekends. But yeah, I didn't want to subject you to it. So if you've been waiting, my apologies, but here I am. Voice isn't fully the way it's supposed to be. So if you're new to me, if you're new to this show, know that I normally sound way more interesting than this, or delightful, or ladylike. I don't know. There's a bunch of words, and I think all the words are better. Unless you really like this scratchy, deeper, masculine voice, then you're welcome. You are welcome. So today's show, we're going to do a bit of a race recap, and then I'm going to tell you about some other things that I want you to know, because there's always niceties going on here in Fitzness land, right? Okay, so I'm starting with the OC Orange County Marathon 2025, which was incredible. In fact, it's the Hoag OC Marathon 2025. The Hoag is our title sponsor, and boy, are they like super big contributors this year. They've this and last year, so great. So anywho, you got to name it. Got to call it what it is, right? Got to call it what it is. Okay, so I headed off to California last weekend. I think I arrived Thursday, and it's such a beautiful place. Now, if you've not been to the OC, you may have heard of the OC on television. It was a popular TV show, I don't know, I guess in the 2000s. I never watched it. But the gist of Orange County is that it's very upscale. It's a very ritzy, wealthy place. And if if you drive a Mercedes, everybody feels sad for you. That's right. Everybody feels sad for you because a Mercedes is like, bleh. Who wants to drive that? Because every other car on the road is a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Bentley or some sort of cars that I'm not even familiar with, because I'm not familiar with fancy cars. I'm a not fancy car girl. That's right. I'm a truck girl, a Jeep girl. And we're going to talk about Jeepy soon. But anyhow, we're in Orange County, and this is OC is the first race I ever announced back in, I don't know, 11 years ago. I think that was 2014. Rudy introduced me to the race director, Gary Kutcher, who I adore. And thankfully, Gary gave me a chance. And because of this race weekend, now I announce races all over the country. It's really worked out magically for me. And I'm always thrilled to go back to Gary and the OC, and, you know, super loyal to them. But then, because I've been there so long, it's a bit of a family reunion. Not only have I been there so long, but I've announced so many races throughout California that we just have endless friends. It feels like a family reunion or a class reunion, but there's a lot of really good reasons to go back and be excited to be there. So just fun, happy beach vibes. The whole weekend is spectacular. You know how some races are really good with one thing, but maybe not the others? OC is great with everything. The course is spectacular. The start line is gorgeous. The finish line is mind-blowing fun. All the sound is great, which really matters to me and Rudy, who I announced this one with. And then our timing is spectacular. The website's built out great. We have these mind-blowing parties after people cross the finish line at our marathon. No, 5K. It was the Andy Vargas, who is the lead singer of Santana, was performing. Just who has that at the finish line of a race, right? And then on Sunday, after the half and full marathon, we have this band, Flashback Heart Attack. They're huge in Southern California. Actually, people will run the race just to be able to enjoy Flashback Heart Attack, which it's an 80s cover band. They're so cool. And I've only seen them a little bit a few years ago, and I love them so much. And it's quite tragic because of me working, and I'm very clear that the place that I want to be is the finish line and the start line. But because I'm doing my job, I can never see Flashback Heart Attack, which, it's just a little sad. I need to go there to just enjoy them. I need to have a full Flashback Heart Attack concert night one day, and that would That would delight me. Anywho, the medals are spectacular. The challenge medal, super cool. It's this 3-dimensional running shoe popping off the medal. The gear is great. The shirts, all the stuff. I mean, and the expo is the biggest, most busy expo that I attend all year round. And even I ran the Boston Marathon. That expo has nothing on the OC Marathon. And that's no slight to Boston. It's just OC is that great. So all the bells, all the whistles, you should go. You should totally go. And this year we had, I think it was record-breaking numbers, over 20,000 athletes. Our marathon was bigger than ever, almost 4,000 athletes. And the half, I think, had about 11,000. And our kids' races had over 6,000. And just, good stuff. I'm going to tell you some of my highlights. I mean, the whole freaking thing is a highlight. But there's just a few people I want to mention because, it's just, they say sometimes the finish lines are life-changing. When the speedsters up front come through, these are folks that usually have done this before. They've been training their whole life. They are fast. They are elite athletes. They move quickly, and running is what they do. Running well is what they do. And most of the people who win the races I announce have won other races. So it's exciting, but it's not necessarily life-changing for those folks. We had some real life changers this weekend. And one of the guys is Gavin Boller, which I'd love to tell you about him. I ran into him in the expo and he looked familiar to me. He's in a chair, a wheelchair. He's an amputee, missing his right leg right above the right knee. And I recognized him from previous races. I said, "Hey, are you racing this weekend?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Are you doing it in this chair?" Because he had a basic chair. Now, racing in chairs is kind of popular, but most of the people racing in chairs have special racing chairs. They're a bit more aerodynamic. They are built for speed, a little more comfortable for the athletes to go such a long distance. But Gavin said, "Yeah, I race in this chair." I think he could use funding. Just to be clear, I think he could use funding for a proper racing chair. But until he gets it, he's just going to race in his everyday chair, which is batshit crazy because that is such a hard way. It's the hardest way to do any sort of race. Just crazy. Running on foot and walking, that's pretty good. Hand cycling is probably the least difficult of the chair style racing. And then there's push rem. So hand cycle is just kind of twisting like a bike pedal type situation. Most of your motion comes from maybe your elbows, and then the push rim comes from your shoulder. So it's a larger muscle, requires a bit more effort. And then just a regular wheelchair, holy smackers. That's just wild to me. It's the hardest way that I've seen to do a full marathon. Maybe Adam Gorlitsky and his exoskeleton, but crazy. So I chat with Gavin, and he's such a lovely guy. And he starts telling me his story, which I think is worth sharing. So I think Gavin's about 40-ish now. And when he was 21, he was on foot and he was struck by, I believe, a truck. And that's how he lost his leg. So imagine 21 years old. And then, you got your whole world in front of you. You're finally an adult, blah, 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 whatever comes with that. And then boom, you're struck. You lose half of one of your legs and life changes forever. And he said that for many years, he was kind of lost, not sure what he was going to do, kind of depressed, just not living the life he should be. The accident was really traumatic on him, not just his physicality, but his emotional state and so forth. So 2 years ago, he was just looking for some answers. And I think he said he was on Facebook. I hope I'm not getting this wrong, Gavin, but he saw an advertisement for the OC 5K and he thought, okay, I'll give that a go. And so 2 years ago, that's 2023, he showed up and did the OC 5K. And it was really, really hard. I greeted him at the finish line. We have he was trying to take selfies and I was like, wait, I can do it. So I took pictures of him and then I took pictures of us. And he came back and did the 5K again in 2024. And then he did the half marathon last year as well. So he's done 5K, he's done half. And as we were chatting on Saturday, he was telling me that he was going to do his first full marathon on Sunday. And again, he's doing it in the regular wheelchair, which I just shake my head. If you could see me right now, I'm rubbing my forehead because it just seems so stressful to me. Holy cow. How could someone do that? And I have seen it before, but it just seems so hard. And so Gavin did the 5K Saturday night. He did great. And then also he has a friend named Prince. I don't know Prince's last name. In fact, I saw it come up on my computer screen on Sunday. Prince was also struck by a vehicle and lost one of his leg. And he was going to do the full marathon on his prosthetic. So upright, one full leg, one half leg, half prosthetic for Prince. And, I was really excited for both of them. And I gave them both, big happy shout out at the start line and told everybody in the crowd about them because it's interesting. People are really afraid. Not everybody, but many people line up at a start line and they're just terrified. And, not only am I trying to crank people up at a start line, get them hyped and excited, you want to calm people down that need that too. And, constantly pointing out that I know you're nervous, but let's use perspective. And usually I say things like cancer is scary. And if I'm in Florida or the South or in the East Coast, I say hurricanes are scary, right? If I'm on the West Coast, I might say fires are scary, right? But then I point out that there's Gavin out there. He has one leg and he's doing this race in a chair, the whole entire thing in a standard wheelchair. And then there's Prince, who's going to be doing his very first marathon with only one leg and a prosthetic. And that takes the people behind them thinking, okay, maybe it's not so bad for me. I do have both legs, hip, hip, hooray. That's something, right? So shined a nice spotlight on them and just was really looking forward to seeing them cross that finish line later in the day. And first came Prince and he just looked great. He looked really good crossing the finish line. And just about 4 or 5 minutes later, they didn't even go together. But Gavin came through and it was just wonderful. I went down to see him and gave him a big hug and we took some photos and I said, this makes everything else seem so much easier, right? He goes, well, at least it makes a half marathon seem like child's play. So, it's all perspective. Hopefully going forward, Gavin can always visualize any challenge he faces against this one, which is extraordinary. And the other thing is that 2 years ago when Gavin found racing, it gave him purpose. It brought this level of engagement and meaning to his life. He also found religion about the same time. And so he's now a really happy guy who feels good about himself. And I think having purpose goes a long way. And sometimes maybe some people think sports are frivolous, but I would disagree wholeheartedly. I think sports can be life-changing. They're not your family, or maybe those people who participate do become your family. But I do believe sports can have a extraordinary impact on anyone and everyone who gives them a try. And, I can tell you that kickboxing changed who I was. That act of not only training and being so disciplined and on time and going above and beyond, and then the courage to step into a ring with someone who wanted to knock me unconscious. Well, that certainly gave me courage to do so many more things in business and in my personal life. It just mattered. And then, of course, once I hit cancer, all of the things that I had garnered through sports, whether it was discipline and courage or positive mindset, preparation, those things went into my ability to endure my treatment. And it's interesting when we talk about cancer, people are like, well, you lived or you died. Okay, but you have to show up for yourself every freaking day. I mean, for me, I had not only the chemo for 21 rounds and radiation 33 times, okay, that's 54 times I had to do something terrifying. Oh, okay, let's throw in a couple surgeries. So almost 60 times that I had these big deal experiences through cancer. But then 5 days a week, I was getting IV fluids for 5 months. And that throws in another, hundreds of times where I had to be brave and I had to endure pain. And I don't know if I could have done those things if I hadn't been an athlete. To me, my athletic experience has really changed who I am. It makes me a better business person, a better friend, a more patient homeowner. Just everything I am that's good, I believe, comes from some solid upbringing. Thanks, Mom. And my experiences with sport. And so watching Gavin or listening to him tell me how his life is so much better is just heartwarming. And I root for that guy. I know he's going to continue to go on. He's only 40 for crying out loud. So he's got decades ahead of him. And the fact that he now has a mission and some sanity goes a long way. I think it's just so very meaningful. So Gavin and Prince, excited to tell you about them. And then there's a guy who was actually on my podcast at the beginning of the year, David Lyman. David Lyman is an EOD bomb specialist for the Navy. I believe he's retired now, but he committed to doing the Hoag Marathon in his bomb suit. That's right, 74-pound bomb suit, including the helmet. And the helmet is absurd. The helmet looks like, I don't know, R2-D2 or something. It's just big and round. I guess it's there to protect your brain. So it's got to be solid, your brain from bombs. And so he came out and whoo, that was a big deal. That was a very big deal. I wasn't sure how he was going to get through it, but he did. He had a team with him, a support crew, I'm sure, to help him drink and get snacks. And maybe we had talked about it during the podcast, whether he was going to use the porta potty or how that was going to work with that bomb suit on. He was like, we're going to figure it out. So I encourage you to go back quite a few episodes and find the David Lyman bomb suit marathon episode. Just really great, but it took him longer than he expected. And it definitely did get warmer in the OC. It was a chilly morning, but the sun came out as it normally does. And if you're wearing a bomb suit, it was probably quite hot. And then he finished the race over an hour after Rudy and I left. Now, mind you, we stay to the final finisher within reason, but at some point they have to tear down they have to take the microphone, tear down the sound. They take the timing. There's really no value to us being there versus everybody else who just can clap and say words with their mouth. So David came in after we finished, but this is just a funny visual because Rudy actually brought it up and it made me giggle so hard. So what happens with our athletes, many races, if you cannot keep up with the balloon lady or a certain time frame of finishing, they will send buses or vans and pick you up. They call it sag wagon. I call it the boo-boo bus. But yeah, if you're falling behind our official finish time, quite often many races will just drive you to the finish line and say, sorry, try again another time. But the OC doesn't do that. In fact, our balloon ladies who go exactly a 16-minute pace, they take off once our final athlete has crossed the start line. They walk at a perfect 16-minute mile pace. And then if they pass you, they don't kick you off the course. They give you a map and say, okay, this is how you get to the finish line and some encouragement. And then your job, if you've fallen behind, is to follow the rules of the road. So we can't leave the whole entire 26.2 mile course open all day. Race organizations make deals with the cities, with the communities they move through. And there are obligations to open roads, move the barriers, move the law enforcement, and clean those things up. And so again, that's often why the sag wagon appears to say, hey, it's no longer safe, let's go. But OC says, if you'd like to move to the sidewalk, you can finish. But Rudy brought up, which I thought was hilarious. Okay, so now David's walking down the streets of Orange County in a bomb suit. Can you imagine driving by this guy? There's no race anymore. You're just driving to church or the grocery store, whatever, and you see some dude cruising down the sidewalk with a bomb suit. I wonder if anyone called law enforcement and thought, okay, this is wrong. Something's going on here. But man, he's gritty. He is gritty. He went the whole distance. It took over 8 hours. I think it was 8:55. I could be wrong. Sorry, David, if I'm screwing you up. In fact, I'm gonna look at my messages here. What do we get out of David? Yeah, 8 hours, 55 minutes. Now, heroic because he raised about $10,000 for the EOD Foundation for people who have lost loved ones due to explosives or those who are injured on the job. And so absolutely heroic raising those funds, but being on your feet for almost 9 hours, holy cow. And then plus 75 pounds of gear, just boggling. And of course, he wasn't the fastest guy. If he were not wearing the bomb suit, he would have finished way faster. Who cares? He went the distance and he did something extraordinary. He was trying to beat a Guinness Book World Record. He did not do that, but he still was one of our stars of the show. And that's another person I pointed out at the start line for all the people who were nervous to go their distance on race day. I was like, listen, there's a guy doing it with a bomb suit. So you're going to have an easier day than he is. Take pride in that. And they did. So, so many just fun times. And I go down into the finish line shoots. Once the serious speedsters move on through, and I know I'm not going to get in anyone's way of their PR or their opportunity to win an age group. Once things start cooling down on the speed, I walk out into the finish line to find people and greet them personally, whether I know you or not, looking for hugs and high fives. And I run a lot of people through their finish line. It's so wonderful. I mean, I find specific friends that I'm looking for. Dee Marie and Beth Kent and Sean Matlock and Mimi and Jenny and gosh, Kelly and Stella and so many friends, right? I see people that I know, but sometimes there's people that I don't know that know me. They're like, will you run with me? And I go, yes. And so I actually get quite a good workout running the last 20 yards of the race with friends and new friends, which is just an absolute blast. Vicki Richardson, she's a legacy at OC. She's run every single one of our 21 events, and she did the 5K and the half marathon this weekend. Oh, and mind you, she's 85. Yeah, she's 80 freaking 5, and she's hot. Imagine Beyonce. I mean, if I could tell you Beyonce at 85, but it would really be more like Beyonce at 65 because Vicki takes such good care of herself. She's just so pretty and so stylish. And, you know, it was wonderful to be able to escort her through the finish line. But endless friends, endless fun. And for those of you who ran with me, who were sharing your appreciation, how grateful you were that I would do that with you. Trust me, it's equally exciting for me to be with you. And note that if I get to you and you don't want me to run with you, just shoo me off. Say, no, I got this, Fitz Kohler. That's fine. That's fine. I'm happy to just cheer you on with my big mouth. But Rudy and I tag team folks, and he's up on the stage reading names and greeting folks that way. And I get a little more germy. Yeah, that's right. I get germy because I'm hugging all the sweaty people. And actually, me and one of the security guys, we escorted an Army vet through the finish line of his full. And it was just so precious because I called for medics. I said, hey, medics, keep your eye on the finish line. And and this guy was just limping. I don't know what was going on with his right leg, but security was on his left arm. I was on his right, and we were bringing him forward. And the medics started coming with the chair. And I said, no, he's going to finish on his own. Just wait for him. And I told the runner, I said, well, you're doing this on your own. You get full credit. He's like, oh, thank you. He was really worried. He was so cute. And he goes, I'm a vet. I was in the Army. I was like, well, thank God we have gritty people like you protecting our country. Like you are exactly what I want. Even in extraordinary pain, even with some sort of injury, perhaps, he still had that will to keep going. And I admire it so much. And yeah, you finish your race on foot, or even if you crawl across that finish line, you get absolute full credit for the experience. And yeah, I do adore getting my arms around you, whether you know me or I know you or not. It's just, it's really fun. I do feel kind of like the race mommy, whether you're older or younger or my age. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you, and get to grab your cheeks and tell you you're the best. Oh, this is really great. I finally got to meet one of my besties in person. So a couple of years ago, I was announcing Los Angeles Marathon, and I've mentioned this before, but she's been a guest on my show a couple of times. But we have our first handful of finishers are international athletes, mostly Africans, because golly, they win everything over there. But here comes, I see the first American woman coming through. And I don't know, I just connected. We locked eyes, and I felt like we were old friends. And I said, there's my girl, Ashley Paulson. And she runs through with this big smile, blowing me a kiss. She's got hot pink hair. And if you've been listening to my show for a while, you know that she has won many races. She's won the Badwater Marathon, not even Badwater Ultra Marathon twice, which is from the lowest point in the desert to the highest point in America, 135 miles, hot as hell. She won it the first time, I don't know, like a handful of years ago. People challenged her. They accused her of cheating, which she did not. And then the second year she ran it again. Not only did, when they were keeping such a close eye on her, she beat all the women again, and she beat the boys. So legit 2-time Badwater champ. And then recently this fall, she did the 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days challenge. She's just a phenomenal person. And we love each other. We actually love each other. We've never gotten to hug though. We connected at LA, and then we've connected online a whole bunch and in social media. But finally she ran the OC, and I gave her some love at the start line. And then she comes through at second place. So second place, I was able to take my time, tell everybody how extraordinary she is, how much I love her. And then once she crossed, I went out. We finally got about 27 hugs. That's right. I lost track at some point, but so many hugs. And that's the beauty of the running community. You make real, meaningful friendships from afar. I don't know. It's just such a blessing. I wish Ashley lived next door to me. I feel like we would hang out and do all sorts of ridiculous things together. I probably would not go for a 100-mile run with her. I would do the first maybe 10, and then I'd say, okay, off you go, gorgeous. See you when you come back. But that was a real treat to be able to smooch on Ashley, who's just such a blessing, such a blessing. And we will be right back.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for a loved one battling cancer? The Cancer Comeback Series by Fitz offers hope, inspiration, and practical guidance. With Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, and the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. These books are a lifeline for all patients and survivors. Right now, you can order autographed copies at a special discount. Show your support and help a loved one go from sick to strong. Visit Fitzness.com today. That's Fitzness.com. Fitzness.com.
We're back. And there were some other delights at the OC at the start line. And first, I'm starting with the mayor of Newport Beach, Joe Stapleton, who's a 40-something mayor, very cool. And not all the politicians who show up on my stage are a great time, right? Some of them are kind of stuffy and whatever. They're mayors. Bless their hearts. They do their best, or they're Congress people, or I don't know. We've had all sorts. But in the OC, the mayors are really normally pretty fun. And so I was introducing one mayor, the mayor of Newport Beach, Joe Stapleton, because the start line is in his city. And then I'd go to John Stevens, who's the mayor of Costa Mesa, which hosts our finish line. And so Joe was a lot of fun. I actually made the great use of Joe because he kind of hung out on the stage. He was enjoying the vibe and the silliness, and I got him to help me out with some of the nonsense I was instigating at the start, which was great. We have some really fun photos, and it's just great to see a politician ready to kick back and be silly, right? I feel like we're seeing that a bit more now on the national level, state and local. It's just a sense of humor. How about that? Hey, you got to be good at your job, right? You got to fix the economy and fix our security and all that stuff. But if you can laugh at yourself, laugh at your situation, I really, really enjoy that. So Joe Stapleton was that mayor, the funny mayor. So I have Joe. He's first. He greets the crowd, maybe yammers for 60 seconds. Good job, Joe. Thanks for keeping it short, sweet. And then the Costa Mesa mayor, John Stevens, comes up, and he really has a little bit of smack talk with Joe. So he starts getting the crowd to chant Costa Mesa and how much better they are than Newport Beach. Funny, ha ha ha. And I really enjoyed John Stevens. He's been there for a couple of years. Great guy. I love it when he appears as well. And then the CFO, vice president of our title sponsor, Hoag, gets up, and this guy is great. I really love it when hospitals sponsor or title sponsor a race, because it means they're investing in the actual health of their community, right? They're not just saying, "Oh, I hope you guys get sick and get hurt so you can come give us money." When they invest in a sporting event or a fitness event, they're saying, no. steer clear of us. We hope you don't need us. We'll be here if you do, but go exercise, help yourself out, promote health, right? So that's a very big deal to me. And their CFO, Andrew Guarney, a lot of fun, really committed to the OC Marathon. I showed up on Saturday with the kids and then came to the full, and just, it's a special relationship. It's not just money. It's an actual relationship. But so Mayor Joe talks, then Mayor John talks, and then Andrew gets up and he just smacks them both down because he's like, oh yeah, mayors, I hear you. But it is the Hoag OC Marathon. So it was just cute watching boys be boys. All the little friendly competition was fantastic. And I tell you that our start line, the full marathon is fabulous, but the start line of the OC half marathon is one of my favorite places each year in the entire country because they're wild. They're crazy. They dance. They're so pleasant. They're willing to be silly with me. And I just look forward to it. And then the second they all cross the finish line, I'm super sad. I think, why did they leave? But apparently I told them to leave. So that's why that happens. Another highlight of the OC, 6,000 kids. They're a part of a 3-month training program through the OC Marathon. It's called Kids Run the OC. They do the training program at their school, and then they show up to our race day on Saturday to complete the final mile of their training. And so, yeah, it's a race, but we actually don't acknowledge winners. We just say everybody gets a medal, everybody gets a snack. It's a celebration. It's the victory lap. So 6,000 plus kids, phenomenal. We used to have 10,000 pre-COVID, and it's growing back. We're expecting 10 next year at least, which will be wonderful. But this is a deal. It's customary that before any sporting event and definitely race, we do the national anthem. And so when I first started announcing these races, we would play the anthem on our iPad, or individual kids would show up and sing, which was also very heartwarming. But I've switched it up over the past couple of years because, you know what? I'm going to lean in on this patriotism thing. If you are blessed to be a freaking American, you got to own that. You got to learn to love it. Gosh, if you don't love it, then I'm so confused for you. I'm so sorry you weren't taught to appreciate the freedoms and the safety and the protection we have here. There's such a blessing to be an American. So I want these kids to know it too. And I love it. I love it. I always encourage when I introduce an anthem singer for everybody else to sing along. And I think we should sing. Whenever you hear the anthem, Fitzness Show listeners, you should sing along. The other thing is, I don't care if you're sitting on your couch watching the Super Bowl, when that anthem singer comes on TV, you stand the hell up. You stand the hell up, not for the song. You stand up for all of those people who have permanently lied down in sacrifice of not only this country, but freedom and security worldwide. You stand up and salute in honor of those people and those that are still making the ultimate sacrifice or offering to make the ultimate sacrifice for this country. So I'm the weirdo. If I'm watching a baseball game in bed and the anthem singer gets up, I stand up. Even if I'm in my bathrobe and a messy bun, I will stand up to honor my country and for those who've served. So I'm very intense about freedom, very passionate about the anthem. And so we've switched it at the OC. We have everybody sing. And so I just love doing it. I always say, who knows the anthem? And the kids are like, yay, me, I do. Great. And so there's often a pack of 800 kids per age group. I send off 8 different waves. So we go 11-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 9-year-olds and so forth. So there's hundreds of children, and then their coaches from their schools are going to go the distance too. So I just handpick one. And the first one I chose was this guy, Travis. Travis had a fabulous blonde, long wig. It was so funny. Anyways, I grabbed him and I said, come on over. You look fun. And I introduced everybody to Travis. I said, what's your name? He said, Travis. I said, everybody say hi, Coach Travis. And they did. I said, okay, Travis, you are brave, right? And he was like, yeah. I said, okay, well, you are going to sing. You're going to kick us off by singing the first 5 words of our national anthem. And then everybody's going to join in. You could just see the look on this guy's face, like, oh my gosh. And so I gave him Rudy's microphone and instructed him to give the okay, oh, say, can you see? And he did it. And then all of these little voices, big voices chime in, and they sang that national anthem so loud and proud. I mean, that not only were the kids singing, but the coaches were singing. All the parents and grandparents, fans and friends lined up along the start line to see it. They all sang too. It's just, I'm pretty confident it was the most patriotic acre of land in our entire country that day. It's just so meaningful. And so we did that before every single wave. And I loved picking out the coaches and making them sing it. And they were all just brave. Think about if somebody handed you a microphone, the anthem, I get it. It's a hard song, probably kind of awkward with the way it fluctuates. I know that and I have sang it on the microphone just because my iPad has died, but I know I don't have a beautiful singing voice. However, the anthem means more than that. It's not just for people with beautiful voices. It's for people who love freedom and America. And so they did, man. I couldn't admire our coaches any more than I do because they had the courage to, oh, say, can you see? And then one of them, Coach Mike, he just kept the microphone and kept singing into it the whole time. And of course, the crowd was singing too. But it was wonderful to hear this man who did not have a beautiful singing voice sing his anthem proudly. So Coach Mike, if you're listening, I love you. You get all the credit. There was a couple of kids that volunteered to sing the "Oh Say Can You See." One of them was a 5-year-old. And it's just heartwarming. I'm going to pick favorites, right? My favorites at a race are almost never when somebody wins. I will always make a big stink about that, right? It's my job to make that champion feel like a real champion. And I mean it. And I'm happy for that person. But the things that shatter my heart into a million pieces in the best way possible are never the champions. It's all the other stuff. It's all the special things that happen on race day. So if you're someone who's never done a race, please join us. And you don't even have to race. We use that term race very loosely. Sure, there are people trying to compete against each other. Sure, there's a lot of people trying to compete against themselves. However, there's so many of us that are just out for some exercise, something fun to do, some athletic adventure, travel. And maybe some people are raising money for charities, but we have a lot of runners, a lot of people who run and walk, and then we have a ton of people who exclusively walk. And of course, there are very long distance races, and then there are very short distance races. So, plan to join in. Do a 5K. It's 3.1 miles. If you can roam through the mall for an hour, you can do a 5K. You can walk and talk with your friends. You don't even have to wear running shoes. You can wear cowboy boots and jeans, do the whole thing, whatevs. But just come check it out because it's a really extraordinary experience. And I love it. I love it. And then the other real highlight is working with Rudy, which our schedules have kind of gone in different directions over the past couple of years, which I don't love. But we just have so much fun working together. And I really expect energy at a race to be a certain level. I expect very high energy. That's what I put into it. And if I have to work with someone who doesn't share the same energy, then they drag it down. I might sound like a cocky jerk, but my style is big. Rudy's style is big. And so we complement each other so well. And it's just a lot of fun. So love you, Rudy. Thank you for being the other half of Team Noisy. Such a fun thing. We need to have more races together. Okay. And then I think this will be my last reference for the Hoag Marathon. We have a VIP party on Thursday night. And the VIP party is people who've run our legacy athletes. There are sponsors. There are charity runners. So it's not just hoity-toity whatevers, but it's a really nice cocktail reception. Race director does a lot of talking. Adrian, his marketing manager, who does so much more, she does talk. But Rudy and I host the start. We chat a little bit, and then we wrap things up at the end after lots of recognition and points are made. So I wore dress and my cowboy boots. I wear my cowboy boots because they're my favorite shoes, and I think they look cute with the dress. So that's how we're standing on the stage, and we have a great night. Reminder, we're in Orange County, which is so freaking fancy. These people are a little extra, right? There's a lot of people that are really extra. My dress might have cost $100. I'm sure there were some dresses in that room that were $700. Just whatevs. That's kind of how we roll they roll in Orange County. So we're wrapping things up. And Rudy and I, when we wrap things up, we're not scripted at all. We're just talking. And at some point I asked everybody who's participating, who's running a race this weekend, and maybe 40% of the room raises their hands. And so I have my cowbell with me. I take it everywhere, and I've been ringing it throughout the evening. And so I take the rest of the group. I say, okay, if you are not running, then we expect you to be part of our cheer squad. Come on out. You know, we want you to go home with sore hands and sore throats. In fact, I highly recommend getting a cowbell. Pick one up at your local Tractor Supply. And as I say that, all the faces in the room just kind of went, huh? Like that. You could see the utter confusion on their faces. This total hick. MC is standing up there in her cowboy boots, ringing her cowbell, telling them to go to Tractor Supply, because I'm pretty confident none of them have ever in their life heard of Tractor Supply. So as I was saying it, I was thinking, oh God, I have no idea what I'm talking about. They have absolutely no idea what a Tractor Supply is. So I outed myself, but whatevs. I'm from Alachua County, Florida. What do you expect? But it was a great time, and I'm no stranger to confusing people. So whatevs. After I said that, there was probably a big hook that just grabbed me and yanked me off the stage. All right. Next up, I'm going to touch a little bit on Mud Girl, which is kicked into high gear. I've already hosted a couple of Mud Girl events so far. I think we started in April. We've already done Mud Girl Raleigh, Mud Girl Pensacola, which was absolutely fantastic. I will be announcing about 18 of those events this year. Ginger, my daughter, I believe will have about 6. She'll be in Tampa and Charlotte and the Poconos in May alone. And one of the things I want to tell you is that we now have Pink Army Foundation. So over the years, the ownership of Mud Girl has been very passionate about supporting breast cancer causes, which is great. They've donated over $300,000 to various breast cancer causes, but now they've launched their own. It's Pink Army Foundation, and the foundation is going to support breast cancer crushers, women who have had or have had breast cancer, and prepare them and then take them on an athletic adventure at the end of the year. So I'm not going to let that cat out of the bag until they release the information on exactly what it is. But yeah, they're going to be paying for these Mud Girls or Pink Army girls to be trained. They're going to have physical trainers and nutrition coaching, and then they're going to fly them to a special destination to do a special athletic feat, which is really cool. I'm so fortunate to be able to support so many causes that are doing such good for breast cancer. And of course, I'm happy to support the colon cancer and the ovarian cancer and the heart disease and all of that. But since I have done breast cancer and it's very personal to me, working with the American Cancer Society, Blossoming Butterflies, the Donna Foundation, Pink Army Foundation, and a few others has really been meaningful. Young Survival Coalition, anywhere I can go and support men and women who are going through the thing that I've been through and still go through a little bit is pretty cool. If you have not checked out the Mud Girl calendar, please do. Now, here's the deal. Mud Girl is a race designed for women. It's a 5K. We have 20-ish obstacles. They're so much fun. It is not a heavy duty lift like Savage or Spartan. There's no pull-ups required, no rope climbs required. All of our obstacles are more on the fun, easy peasy, just enjoyable side. It's for women. Can men participate? Yes, we do not exclude anyone. In fact, it would be illegal to do so. So I would say probably about 3% of our participants every weekend are men. But please come see me. That's the thing. You can look at Mud Girl. You can go to Fitzness.com, check out my race announcing schedule, and then come visit me. After Fargo, I will be in New Jersey and Connecticut and Illinois, and I think Minneapolis, and I think Kansas City or St. Louis, and just on and on and on, Denver and Utah Valley and a lot of places. And I'd love to see you. So check out my calendar, check out the Mud Girl calendar. Even if I'm not going to be there, you'll probably get Ginger and you'll have a blast. So go get muddy, please. And thank you. And speaking on breast cancer, this weekend, I have the Donna Foundation, the Donna Mother's Day 5K in Jacksonville. Would love to see you there. That's another quality event. I get to announce all 3 for them each year at the Donna TPC and, of course, the Donna National Marathon to finish breast cancer in February. And they make a big difference in the lives of people going through breast cancer treatment, because sometimes people can't afford their lights, or they can't afford gas in their car, or they can't afford to feed their kids if they've been knocked out of work for their cancer care. So anywho, they're doing wonderful things, and you should be a part of that. You should definitely be a part of that. Now, my dog, if you saw on social media, my best friend in the whole world, the most loyal person that's ever committed their life to me is Piper. She just turned 16, and we had a sweet 16 party for her. And happy birthday, Piper. That's it. I just want to say it. We had a big party, and sweet. Yeah, she's an angel. She's a mostly lab mix, and she's still really healthy. I'm going to tell you a little more about that on a future podcast, but we do 2-3 miles every day. And yeah, I'm expecting to have a fun, sexy and 17 party. She would totally make the most sexy 17-year-old on earth. So looking for that. Jeepy, that's right. My big red Jeep that got in a terrible car accident a month ago is still being repaired. So I think they've been waiting for a part. I'm hoping to get it back next week, but over a month without Jeepy, which is quite sad, but that's okay. I wasn't hurt. I'm hoping the moron who caused her accident isn't hurt either. Wishing her well, and wishing her extra brain cells, because she's not so good at thinking. Song of the week. I'm not giving you a song of the week, babies. I'm giving you a playlist of the week. Go to Spotify, search Fitzness, and you will find a playlist jam-packed with all sorts of cool sounds. And last but not least, our communication tip of the show: look people in the freaking eye when you're talking to them. Stop looking around people. Stop looking at the floor. Look them into the eye. Look them in their eyes, and they will believe what you say, and they will feel more heard, right? When they're talking to you, don't look away. Don't look at your phone. Look people in the eye. It shows a lot more engagement, and it makes you a lot more of a trustworthy person, which I think is very, very important. If you haven't done so yet, click like, do a share. Hey, folks, listen to the Fitzness Show. I'd like that. And that's it. Get to work. I love you. Mwah! Bye, team.
Hi, this is Rudy Novotny, the voice of America's Marathons. We all love how much running has benefited every aspect of our lives, so much so that most of us only wish we'd started sooner. Wouldn't it be wonderful to give the opportunity to children of today? Well, you can. The Morning Mile is a before-school walking and running program that gives children a chance to start each day in an active way while enjoying fun, music, and friends. That's every child, every day. It's also supported by a wonderful system of rewards, which keeps students highly motivated and frequently congratulated. Created by our favorite fitness expert, Fitz Kohler, Morning Milers across the country have run over 2 million miles and are having greater success with academics, behavior, and sports because of it. The Morning Mile is free to the child, free to the school, and is inexpensively funded by businesses or generous individuals. Help more kids get moving in the morning by visiting morningmile.com. Champion the program at your favorite school, or find out more about sponsorship opportunities. That's morningmile.com. Long may you run.